Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is part 2 of the current series of daily worksheet of 25 marks and today we are going to discuss a worksheet of 8th of January having the same pattern of 15 marks accountancy and 10 marks of business studies. So let's get started without any further delay. So let's start with the first question from accountancy. While preparing a cash flow statement, which of the following will be classified as cash flow from investing activities? So as you all know, the cash flow statement involves three types of activities, that is operating, investing, and third one is financing activities. So in this question it is asked that which of the four options will be classified as the cash flow from investing activities. So first of all, we need to recognize that which one of the following is categorized as investing activities. So the first option is issue of shares for purchase of high-tech machine. Although machine has been purchased, but this machine has been purchased by issuing shares, that means it does not involve any kind of flow of cash. That's why it is not categorized any of the activity as per AS3. Now second option, purchase of machine on credit. Again, a machinery has been purchased, but it is again on credit. That means again no flow of cash. That means it cannot be classified in any kind of activity. Option number third, C, invested in securities of other company. It means in this option, the company had invested certain amount in the securities of other companies. That means it is an investment part of the company and which results into outflow of the cash. That means option number C is a kind of activity or example which can be categorized in under the investing activities. And the last option is payment of debentures. It results outflow of cash, but since debentures is an example of source of finance, that means it is a financing activity. So option C will be the correct answer. So the answer is option number C. Now let's move to the second question. At the time of reconstitution of the firm. So it means this question is from any of the chapter from change in PSR to death of the partner, because reconstitution of the firm has been mentioned. Which account will be debited for the amount of workman compensation claim in excess of existing balance of WCR? First of all, just concentrate this statement. In this statement, it is clearly given that workman compensation claim is in excess. By means, suppose that certain amount of workman compensation reserve is given in the question, like 10,000, but the claim is exceeding the amount of workman compensation reserve. Suppose that the claim is of equal to rupees 12,000. So it means that here the amount of claim against workman compensation is exceeding the amount of workman compensation reserve existed in the balance sheet. So in that case, what will you do for the excess amount? By means, which account will be debited for that excess amount? So in that case, the excess amount over the actual amount of workman compensation reserve will be transferred to the debit side of revaluation account. That means entry will be revaluation account debit to provision for workman compensation claim account. That means option number B will be correct, that revaluation account will be debited. Now let's move to the third question, carrying 3 marks. A, B and C are partners in 2:2:1 with capitals of rupees 1,80,000, 1,50,000 and rupees 1,20,000 respectively. As per the terms of deed, they are entitled to or for the following. First one is interest on capital 10% per annum. The second one is salary to C 15,000 annually, and then net profit earned by the firm for the year ended 31st March 2023 amounting to rupees 48,000. Show the distribution of profit by preparing PL appropriation account. So in the first outlook, this question seems to be very easy, because certain number of uh, statement of deeds have been given, like interest on capital and salary, very easy one, as well as the net profit is clearly given as rupees 48,000. Capital is also given as opening capital because nothing is mentioned by means of dates or any kind of other information. So it is a very simple question in first look. But while we calculate all the details, we will find something is not common. Okay, so let's have the detailed investigation of the question. This is the main summary of the question. Why I have chosen this question in this paper, because of this reason only. Since the total amount of interest on capital and salary, when you calculate the amount of interest on the respective capitals given as 18,000, 15,000, and 12,000, as well as the amount of annual salary, that is 15,000. The total of all these four items will be rupees 60,000. While we know that the given net profit is only rupees 48,000. That means in this case the net profit is not sufficient up to the amount of appropriation. So that is why this question is very tricky one. It seems to be very easy, but because of that trick, it question is very uncommon. This question is very uncommon and very important also. So whenever the amount of all the appropriation, that is in this case interest on capital and the salary, exceeds the amount of available net profit, then we have to adjust all the details proportion to the available net profit. That is why I have written this statement, just to remind you all people that whenever this kind of question arises in your paper, you have to be at most sincere and careful. So this is the case. The net profit available is 48,000. The total of all the interest as well as the salary is equal to 60,000, which is exceeding the amount of available net profit. That means we need to readjust, or we need to proportionate the amount of all these items to make the available net profit and appropriation convenient to the partners. So first of all, while preparing the PL appropriation account, we have to write the net profit here as 48,000 as it is given in the question. Then, because of the situation available in this question that the net profit does not allow the partners to pay all the amount of interest, total amount of interest and salary because of the fewer amount, we need to make the ratio of interest as well as salary. So the actual amount of all the interest is rupees 18,000, 15,000, 12,000, and the salary is rupees 15,000. It will be 6 is to 5 is to 4 is to 5. Now, here one of the major problem or confusion among the student is that very often I have observed that whenever a student find himself or herself in the same kind of situation, he always or she always used to take the given ratio of the question. Like in this question, the ratio is given as 2 is to 2 is to 1. So the student oftenly found themselves that they have to take the ratio 2 is to 2 is to 1, and they have to distribute their available net profit in that ratio only. But this is a wrong concept. If only interest on capital is available, uh, however, some other kind of confusion is also there. In some cases, student prefer to take the ratio of these capitals. So all these are the wrong concept. Do not take this ratio. Do not make any ratio from these capital, because in some cases it may help you. It may uh, it may arrive to the right answer also, but this is not the case of all the time. If you want to have a correct answer in each the case, that means in that case you need to find out the ratio of all those appropriation, the total of which exceeding the amount of available net profit. So in this case, two things are available, that is interest on capital and other is salary. So we need to take the ratio of all the four, interest as well as salary. Then only we can be able to find out the correct answer. So the ratio of all the appropriation is 6 is to 5 is to 4 is to 5. Now, a task is very simple. You need to distribute the available amount of net profit in this ratio itself. Then you will come to the proportionate amount of all the interest, which is 14,400, for B 12,000, for C 9,600, and proportionate salary to C, that is rupees 12,000. and I have shown you the calculation below the uh, format of PL appropriation. As you can see, here it is: interest on capital, proportionate interest on capital for A, that is according to the ratio 6 by 20. Then for B it is 5 by 20, and for C it is 4 by 20, multiplied by the available amount of net profit, and that will result into the proportionate amount of interest on capital for every partner, as well as proportionate amount of salary to partner C. As per the ratio, it is 5. That means 5 by 20 into 48,000, it will be 12,000. So in this way, we can calculate the proportionate amount of all the appropriations whenever the amount of net profit does not equal to or more than the amount of all the appropriation, or we can say that whenever the amount of appropriation exceeds the amount of available net profit and charge against profit is not stated in the question, then this kind of adjustment will all have to do in that question. So this is the solution of this question, that is question number 3. Now let's move on to question number 4. So this is a very important, again a very important part of the syllabus. I have taken this question from the dissolution chapter dissolution. As you all know, in this chapter, two major topics are there. First, preparation of realization account, and the other one is uh, to prepare to pass necessary entries at the time of dissolution. So most of the important questions are from the entries from dissolution, because it cover a lot of adjustments. So I have taken 4 cases. First one is dissolution expenses amounting to rupees 6,000 paid by the firm. So here dissolution expenses is rupees 6,000 which has been paid by the firm on behalf of a partner X. Whenever it is written that expenses paid on behalf, that means expenses has to be borne or bear by the partner. Here in this case, here it is X. So partner has to bear, X has to bear these expenses, but the firm had paid these expenses right now. So the entry will be, since the firm had paid, that means the outflow of cash has been taken place. That means bank account will be created. But it has been paid by the firm on behalf of the partner X. That means at last partner X's account will be deducted by the same amount. That is why X's account will be debited. So the entry will be X's account debit to bank account by rupees 6,000 as it is given in the question. Now let's move to the second transaction. Machinery having book value of rupees 25,000 was taken over by a partner Y by paying cash. Again, a partner is involved in this transaction, namely Y, but it is clearly written that by paying cash. That means partner has taken machinery, but he has paid the cash also. That's why we cannot debit or credit the account of partner, because cash has already been received from the partner. So it is basically realization of machinery. So bank account will be debited because the partner has paid the money, and to realization account by rupees 25,000. Now let's move to the third transaction. Rather, transaction number B is a quite tricky one, because by writing that the partner has paid cash. So point number C, no information is available for employee provident fund amounting to rupees 10,000. So it means that in the given balance sheet, employees provident fund is available, but in the additional information, no information, by means how much amount has been paid or nothing is paid, is given in the question. So we have to assume. Now what is the assumption? EPF, Employees Provident Fund, it is very similar to the creditors or any type of other external liabilities. So first of all, you need to know that it is an external liability. So in absence of any other information, it will be paid off completely. So simple entry for payment of any kind of external liabilities will be relation account debit to bank account by the given amount, that is rupees 10,000. So this will be the entry for the third transaction. Now let's move to the fourth transaction. Loan taken from a partner Z. So there is a partner, another partner named as Z, and a loan taken from Z. amounting to rupees 15,000 was settled by stock rupees 12,000 and the balance through cash. By means, to settle the amount of Jet's loan, we have given stock worth rupees 12,000 as well as cash rupees 3,000. So to settle the account of partner as a loan, first of all, we need to close down the account of loan, that is Jet's loan account will be will be debited by rupees 15,000. Then the amount of stock uh, given to the partner as a part of settlement. So we need to create the realization account and the remaining part has been paid through cash. That means bank account will be created by rupees 3,000. So this is the entry of last transaction. In this way, all the entries have been made in question number 4, and this is very scoring part also because each entry will carry 1 marks. Now, we are moving to the last question of accountancy part. And again, this is a major part or an important part, I would say, from the whole syllabus because, as you all know, in the chapter admission of a partner, a very important part is there of carrying 6 marks. Previously, it was appeared in the paper as 8 marks question, but nowadays uh, the board the board is giving questions of only 6 marks. There is no question of 8 marks, so it is a very important question. Following is the balance sheet of Manu and Tanu, who were equal partners. A balance sheet is there, liability side, creditors, workman compensation reserve, general reserve, capitals. Asset side, bank balance, debtors, provision, stock, office equipment, investment, and goodwill. Now, below the balance sheet, few adjustments have been written. They decided to admit Shankar as a partner for 1/4 share on the following conditions. So a new partner is admitted named as Shankar and his share will be 1/4, and following conditions have been decided. The first one is goodwill of the firm is to be valued at rupees 2 lakh and Shankar will bring his share in cash. So new partner Shankar will have to bring his share of goodwill out of the goodwill of the firm, that is rupees 2 lakh. Then claim against workman compensation was estimated at rupees 15,000. Third one is to write off bad debts amounting to rupees 6,000. Fourth one is stock was found undervalued by 10%. And three more adjustments are there. Fifth one is market value of investment amounting to rupees 50,000. Next one is 1/4 of the office equipment was taken over by creditors of 32,000 in for settlement. And the last one is Shankar further brought rupees 1 lakh toward his capital. So in this way, total 7 adjustments are there. Few will be transferred to the revaluation account. Few will be impacted on a partner's capital account, like that. So one by one, we will discuss and try to find out which one will be transferred to the revaluation account and what is the requirement. Prepare revaluation account and partner's capital account. So this is the basic requirement nowadays to prepare revaluation account for 2 marks and to prepare partner's capital account equal to 4 marks. Now the first point. So first point belongs to the goodwill that will not impact revaluation account. That means just right now leave it. Second point, claim against workman compensation. Now, workman compensation claim, whenever the amount of claim is less than the amount of workman compensation reserve. Okay. Uh, like in this question, the amount of workman compensation reserve appeared in the balance sheet is 25,000 and the claim given in the adjustment is rupees 15,000. That means the amount of claim is less than the amount of workman compensation reserve. In this case, there will no impact in the revaluation account. Rather, the remaining amount of workman compensation reserve, that is rupees 10,000, will be distributed between the partners in the old ratio. Okay. But in case the amount of claim exceeds the amount of workman reserve, like the reserve is 25,000, but suppose that in point number 2 the claim amount may be given as 30,000. So in that case, rupees 5,000 claim is exceeding the amount of reserve. In that case, that 5,000 will be transferred to the debit side of revaluation account. So right now we don't need to open any we don't need to transfer any amount to the revaluation account for point number 2. It will be impacted only in partners capital account. Now point number 3, write off bad debts amounting to rupees 6,000. So first of all, bad debts is a loss, is an expense for the business. So definitely it will be debited to the revaluation account. But while we look on the asset side, we find the existing provision is there. And we know that the provision has been made to adjust the amount of bad debts arises in future. So before transferring the amount of bad debts, that is rupees 6,000 to revaluation account, we need to cross check whether any provision amount is given in the balance sheet or not. Now in this question the amount of provision is given as rupees 10,000. So out of rupees 6,000, that is the actual amount of bad debts, first we need to adjust or write off this amount by using the amount of existing provision. So amount of bad debts is only rupees 6,000 and available provision is 10,000. So we can easily write off all the amount of bad debts through this provision only. So again, there is no need to transfer any amount additionally on the debit side of revaluation account. But in case, suppose that this amount of bad debts like 15,000. Okay. So assume that this 6,000 is now 15,000. So write off bad debts 15,000. Then what will we do? Bad debts is 15,000 and we have to write off this amount from existing provision, that is rupees 10,000 only. So in this case, rupees 5,000 of bad debts cannot be recovered or set off against provision. So in that case, rupees 5,000 will be debited to revaluation account. Okay, hope so you all get that point. Now move to the fourth point. Stock was found undervalued by 10%. Undervalued. Always remind that undervalued means the amount of assets written on the asset side is less than the amount actually they appears. Okay, so I have made some calculation over there for this point. Stock was found undervalued by 10%. It is given in the question. It means that, first of all, it means that in the balance sheet, stock is given as rupees 72,000. Now, if a statement like that is given in the adjustment, it means this is not the actual figure of the stock. It is the amount which represent actual figure minus 10%. That means actually it was something like more than 72,000, in which 10% amount has been undervalued, and then the resulted amount is equal to 72,000. So we need to find out, first of all we need to find out the actual amount of stock, and then we can go through the amount of undervalued amount. So stock was found undervalued by 10%. It means the given figure, that is 72,000, represent only 90% of its actual value. We don't know the actual amount of stock in this question, but certainly we know that the actual amount minus 10% is equal to the given amount, that is 72,000. And right now 72,000 is equal to 90%. So if we multiply the reciprocal of 90% with the given amount of 72,000, we will get the actual amount of stock. And you can also cross check it. 80,000 is the actual amount of stock. If you reduce 10% of this amount, you will get 72,000. Okay, so in this way we can cross check that amount. Now we can conclude it like that the actual amount of stock was 80,000 and it has been written in the balance sheet as rupees 72,000. That means 8,000 has been undervalued. Now because of undervaluation of the assets, while recording in revaluation account, it will be represented or recorded as a gain, because we have to increase the amount of stock by that amount, that is rupees 8,000. So it will be transferred on the credit side by rupees 8,000. Now point number 5. Market value of investment amounting to rupees 50,000. Investment fluctuation fund is not available in the balance sheet. That means it is a very easy point. Investment is given in the balance sheet as rupees 60,000 and market price is rupees 50,000. That means there is a loss in the investment of rupees 10,000. That is why it will be debited on the debit side, investment account 10,000. Now next point. Point number 6. 1/4 of the office equipment was taken over by a creditor of rupees 32,000 in full settlement. So out of the total creditor, there was a creditor of 32,000 who have agreed to take one fourth of the office equipment in full settlement. So, whatever the amount remain will be known as the gain or the loss because the settlement has been taken place. So, one fourth of the office equipment, what will be the amount? It will be 25,000 because office equipment was equal to 1 lakh and one fourth will be 25,000. So this is the amount of the investment or book value of the investment, no, sorry, office equipment which has been given to the creditors. So it has been taken by the creditors and whose account was rupees 32,000. So it means there was a creditor of 32,000 who has agreed to take over an asset equal to 25,000. That means there is a gain of rupees 7,000 to the business because of the settlement with the fewer amount or the lesser amount of the assets. So gain gain on the settlement will be transferred to the debit side of revaluation account. That is why uh, sorry, credit side of the revaluation account. That is why it is written here by creditors, that is gain by rupees 7,000. So finally, no adjustments remain in for revaluation account. So that is why we have concluded to the profit rupees 5,000, which has been distributed in the old ratio, which is equal, that is 2,500 to each partner. Now let's move to the next part of this question, that is partners capital account. As you all know, partners capital account carries some particular steps, and one by one I'm going to dictate all the steps. The first one is to write the balance available of the partner, that means by balance BD. First, by balance BD. Wait a minute. So let us resume. So first step is by balance BD. That means the capital balances available in the balance sheet before the admission, and here it is in the given balance sheet. The balances of capital of Manu and Tanu is given as rupees 1,36,000 and rupees 1,12,000 respectively. So we need to write both these balances over here as a first step. Now the second step is to transfer the amount of gain or loss as a result of revaluation account. Here it is written 2,500 to each partner as a part of the profit of revaluation account or gain of revaluation account. So it will be transferred from debit side to the credit side as by revaluation. Within bracket we can write gain 2,500 to each partner. Now this is the second step. This was the second step. Now in the third step we have to distribute all the distributable items given in the balance sheet. Now let us cross verify which are considered as distributable item in this question. From asset side, goodwill is a distributable item, or we can say that we have to write off in the old ratio. And then from the liability side, general reserve is a distributable item. Workman compensation reserve is also distributable item, but some terms and conditions are applied. If workman compensation reserve remain after the adjustments of the compensation claim, that means the surplus amount of reserve will be distributed in the partners, between the partners in their old ratio. So here we can distribute reserve as well as write off goodwill, but before distribution of the amount of reserve, workman reserve, we need to go through the amount of claim given in the question, and the claim is rupees 15,000. That means we can distribute only rupees 10,000 from workman compensation reserve. So by workman compensation reserve, as we have discussed, 25,000 was the amount of reserve and 15,000 was the amount of claim. That means we can distribute only rupees 10,000 in equal ratio, that is 5,000 to each partner. Then the full amount of general reserve will be distributed in equal ratio, that is 20,000 to each. And then goodwill account, which has been appeared on the asset side, will be set off or write off by transferring on the debit side of the partner's capital account 10,000 to each partner. So this was the step number 3. So in step number 1, we have to write by balance BD. Step number 2, transfer of revaluation gain or loss. Third step, to show the distribution of distributable items on the opposite side. And then fourth step, that is goodwill treatment. Either we will write premium for goodwill or we have to write current account as per the given cases. So first of all, we need to verify whether the new partner has brought his share of goodwill or not. So what is written here? Goodwill of the firm is valued rupees 2 lakh and Shankar will bring his share of goodwill in cash. That means he has brought in his share of goodwill in cash. So we need to write premium for goodwill. Now, what is his share of goodwill? Shankar's share of goodwill is rupees 1 by 4th of the total goodwill, that is 2 lakh, is equal to 50,000. He had brought 50,000 as his premium share goodwill, and the sacrifice ratio is the equal ratio, that is the old ratio, because no other information is available in the question. So by premium for goodwill in sacrifice ratio, which is equal to the old ratio in this question, 25,000 to each partner. And the last but not the least step is the contribution of capital by the new partner, that is 1 lakh. So by bank we have to write, and in the column of Shankar we have to write rupees 1 lakh as his capital as given in the question. Now the final step is to balance the capital account by totaling and balancing. So the balance CD will be 1,78,500, 1,54,500 and rupees 1 lakh. So in this way we have solved last question of accountancy part. That means 6 question marks have been completely successfully solved. Now this is the time for business studies. 10 marks for business studies. So the first question, what is the first question? Which of the following is not a nature of principle of management? So we have to very clear that what is actually asked. They are asking what is not a feature, or that is nature of principle of management. In the chapter principles of management, certain number of principles are available by fuel, that is 14. Then 4 scientific principles by Taylor is given. Then techniques are given. But before all these, we have gone through certain features or natures of principles of management, and in this question it has been asked that which is not a nature. Okay, so the first option is formed by practice and experimentation. So it is obviously the feature or nature of the principles of management, so it can't be the answer. Then general guidelines, again yes, it is the nature of the principles of management. Then third one, cause and effect relationship. It is also the nature of the principles of management. And last one is rigid. Now, this cannot be the nature of the principles of management, because the principles of management are always applicable on human beings and it cannot be rigid. It have to be flexible. That is why option number D is not exactly stating the nature of the principle. That means option number D will be the correct answer. Now next question, that is question number 2 or question number 7 of the whole paper. First part, identify the level of management. So as we all know that there are 3 levels, top, middle and lower. So you need to identify any one of the level which is responsible for maintaining quality of output. So let me remind you all people that this is a very easy as well as very important part of the syllabus. We always find a question, at least a question from this particular topic, that is level of management, either of 6 marks, of 3 marks, 4 marks and even for 1 marks also. So just try to go through all the various functions performed at every level so that you can easily identify the indirect or case studies question and you can answer, and you can easily score the number. So it has been asked that you have to identify the level of management which is responsible to maintain the quality of output. So this is the this is the function which has been performed at the lower level of management. So the answer for the first part will be lower level of management. Now, what is the second question? Also state any other 2 functions performed at that level. That means other than the function performed or identified in A, you need to explain any other 2 functions performed at that level. So I have written all the major functions performed at lower level of management, and you have to write any of the 2. So the first answer was lower level of management, and then any of the 2 functions, and one has been written as a star. That means this was already taken or given in option number A, maintaining standard of quality. So other functions are minimizing the wastage, boost the morale of the workers, safety of the workers, maintaining good working conditions, representing the problems of the workers. So these are the headings, only headings. And it is a suggestion I always used to suggest the students that You need to write the headings first of all and then go through the explanation part, because as you all know, CBC has given half marks for writing the headings, so do not forget to write the headings. Now let's move to the last part of the last question of the worksheet. Now this question carry three parts. Part A: prepare a pyramid to show uh, Maslow's need hierarchy. So the my focus was that only to recapitalize, to revise the Maslow's need hierarchy theory. That is why I have taken this question. I know that it is a very easy one, but definitely a very important part also. So this is the pyramid. You need to prepare the pyramid whenever you are writing the answer of Maslow's need hierarchy theory. So from bottom, we have to start basic physiological need, then safety or security need, followed by affiliation or belonging needs, then esteem needs, and finally self-actualization need. So these are the five needs in the pyramid shape. Now, question number 2 or part B: explain any three functions performed by a label. So it is from marketing management chapter. Obviously, in our board examination question, we cannot see such type of question that in a single question multidisciplinary approach is there. That means the first part is from directing chapter, the second part is from marketing management, and third part from market financial market. So in board examination you cannot find this type of question, but it is only for a practice purpose, it is for a revision purpose. That is why I have made this kind of question. So in the second part, you need to write up three functions performed by a label. So I have written all the functions performed by the label, and you have to write any three of that. So label describes the product and specify its content. Label provide the identification of a product. It also grading. It also provide grading of the product. It helps in promotion of the product. It is helpful in providing information required by the law. So these are the major function which are performed by a label, and we need to write any two of that. And the last part is that explain any two functions of a stock market or stock exchange. So I have written all the various functions performed by stock exchange: providing liquidity or marketability to existing securities, pricing securities, safety of transactions, then contribute to economic growth, then spreading equity cult, and last but not the least, providing scope for speculation. These are the major functions performed by the stock exchange. Again, I suggest to all of my viewers that you please write the headings first and then go through the explanation part, so that you can score in a good way. So this is it from this video today. We will meet next day again from another worksheet. That will be worksheet number 3, having 25 marks. Till then, take care. Bye bye.